Hello, hello, Course 3 students. Welcome to Lesson 1.6. In Lesson 1.5, what we did is we were adding integers. And here in Lesson 1.6, we are going to subtract your integers. So we will continue practicing our subtraction rules within integers. So we'll review those, as well as we have 3 different examples on subtracting your integers. Make sure that you are watching out for the code word. Code word can be at any point in the video. So at any point I might stop and just say, hey, here's your code word. Make sure that you submit that to earn the points for watching this video. Something else with this video is that also that little rap video that I'm going to add onto Google Classroom here. It's just a fun video to watch. It kind of gets stuck in your head and you easily remember the rules then. So that is your discretion if you'd like to watch it. But this one is the important one to be watching. So let's go ahead and start looking at what you need to be doing in this lesson. So within this one, we want to review our subtraction rules. And so the biggest thing that I want you to understand when we do subtraction of integers is that we actually change them to addition. So if you got your notes out right now, I would write this out. You change it to addition. And so it says to subtract an integer, add its opposite. So you are going to change it to an addition by adding then the opposite of that. So they give the example of, 3 minus 7. Well, instead of saying 3 minus 7, we keep it, we change it, we keep, change, and then change this one, okay? So adding its opposite. Remember, its opposite number is going to be then, I don't know why this isn't drawing right now. Its opposite is going to be that value. So so a positive 7 turns into a negative 7. A negative 8 turns into a positive 8. So you're changing from that positive version to that negative version of that number. So this is going to be really important. You do not subtract, you change it to addition and adding the opposite. Okay, a couple other examples on showing that. There's also this kind of example where you have a minusing and negative actually ends up making a positive. So at another school I was at, we learned a technique called shushing. Notice that there's 2 different lines, okay? So you had 2 lines like this. Well, if you just decided to rotate this line and put it right on top of it, you go shing, makes 2 lines. So all you had to do is move this line so that it's vertical now, and you put them together. It's kind of another thing, just an easy way, but minusing a negative just makes it a positive and adding just the positive version of that number. So let's go ahead and look at some examples. All right, let's look at subtracting. Again, we're gonna change it to adding the opposite. So that first number is always gonna stay the same. So in this case, I've got negative 7 minus 7 for this first problem. So negative 7, I'm going to change my sign to addition, and then aside from this sign, okay, this is just the subtraction, this is a positive 7. So I'm going to change it to its opposite, which is a negative 7. I like to add parentheses so that it doesn't look so jumbled up next to it, because then you don't have plus and then think it's maybe minus. So now you have adding 2 adding 2 negative integers. When you're adding negatives or things with the same sign, you just add the 2 numbers, keep the sign. So a 7 and a 7, 7 plus 7 is 14. They're both negative, so the answer stays negative 14. All right, part B then. You have 2 minus negative 4. Again, my first number stays the same. I'm going to change this operation to a plus, and then I'm going to change negative 4 to its opposite, which is a positive 4. Now I can just easily add, 2 plus 4, this is like a kindergarten problem. 6. All right, and then part C here. okay? I would highly suggest writing these problems down if you're having a hard time remembering these rules. That way you can see some examples and go back and look in your notebook. It's always a good way to study too, is go back and look while you're practicing through, see how I did this problem, how do you do this problem. You can always rewind this video too or go back. All right, so let's start with the C. I'm keeping the first number the same, negative 13. I'm changing the subtraction to an addition, and I've got negative 5. Well, instead of negative 5, I'm going to change it to its opposite, which is a positive 5. This one gets the tricky part because when we use our adding integer rules then, I need to think of the absolute value of each number. So the absolute value of negative 13 is 13. Remember, anything negative just becomes positive. Anything positive stays positive. The absolute value of 5 is 5. I take the larger one out of the absolute values, subtract the smaller. 13 minus 5, which is 8. And then I keep the sign of whatever 13 was originally. 13 was originally negative, so you have a negative 8 as your answer. All right. Pause the video, let me know if you got questions, but I'm going to continue on. Alrighty, example 2. Example 2 I'm pretty excited about because it's utilizing skills we learned in those first 2 lessons, which is evaluating your expressions and substituting in for a certain variable. Now we get to use different integers though, instead of just, always positive or maybe fractions. Now we're using negative numbers as well. So again, they want us to evaluate each expression. So evaluate means to solve each expression. This is a mathematical expression for the given values of the variable. So for the variable, remember your variable is always going to be your letter. So part A here, we have t equals negative 4, and we need to do 6 minus t. So I'm going to first start by just substituting it in and rewriting this equation. Write it out step by step. It's going to be way easier than trying to do step in your head. Okay, write it out. It's going to help you think about the steps as you go through. So 6 minus, and then I like to do when I have like a double sign next to each other, I always like that parentheses. Well, one thing is if you know a minus a negative just turns into adding the positives. So I'd have 6 plus positive 4. 6 plus positive 4, 10. Pretty simple. Just gotta know your rules. All right. B then, we're gonna plug in for S first and just rewrite it. So I'm just taking negative 4 minus, and then instead of S, I'm gonna put negative 9. Again, I put that parentheses just there so that it doesn't look like I've got so many different symbols. Well, we just talked about this minusing a negative. That just turns into adding the positive version of it. So negative 4 plus then a positive 9. Oh, now I have adding 2 different signs. Another person I know when we were talking did this, and they did it in a way where they just took 9 minus 4 and found your solution. You can do that, but I want you to remember about those absolute values, because the absolute value of 9 is 9. The absolute value of 4 is positive 4. So yes, you end up doing 9 minus 4, which is 5. The tricky part is knowing then, is this answer going to be positive or negative? So guys, Miss Palman just kind of popped in on my video here in my room. So we left off on talking about making sure you know what the sign is for 5 here. So remember, the sign is always going to be whatever number was the largest and what it was originally. It was originally a positive 9, even before we substitute it in and change it. Like once it's in this addition problem, that's the original sign, is what I'm saying. So it's going to be a positive 5, okay? You always go back to that addition problem. Don't go back into that looking at that subtraction problem. Once we change it to addition, it's positive, so its original sign is now positive. All right, and then C, we're going to plug in our 5 for x. So I have negative 3 minus 5. All right, we're changing it to adding the opposite, so that first sign stays the same. add it to, change it to addition, and then this is a positive 5, and so I'm just changing it to a negative 5. Well, a negative plus a negative, all I have to do is just add the numbers and keep the negative sign. 3 plus 5 is 8. I have negative 8 as my solution. Alrighty. So biggest thing is understanding how to change it from a subtraction to an addition problem, and then knowing your addition rules. Okay. Your code word, hey, guess what? It's code word time. Your code word today is apple. I'm pretty sure I haven't done this one yet. Your code word is apple because I have an apple sitting here that I was eating. So go back if you didn't see your code word. We got one more example. All right, example 3 says Earth Science Application. James enters a cave and climbs to a height of 30 feet above the entrance level. He descends 210 feet. Jeez, he's going really far into that cave. I'd be scared. How far below the entrance level did James go? So my suggestion for this one is to draw out a picture. I don't know. Here's the hole for the cave. You know, maybe there's like a big mountain over here, and then there's this big hole for the cave, okay? So what it says is that he enters the cave and climbs to a height of 30 feet above the entrance. Basically, my entrance level here is going to be like 0. So if he's going above it, he's going in the positive direction. So he is going up 30 feet here. All right. And then it says that from here, he descends down 210. So to solve out this problem, I need to understand that I went up to 30 feet, and then I'm going down 110 feet. Okay, so I started at 0 technically, went up to 30. So 30 can be my first point. Then I went down or descended, which shows me a negative, or I'm subtracting 210 feet. So again, I'm not going to leave this as this because off the top of my head, I don't know what 30 minus 210 is. They're both positive numbers, but the 210 is not first. And we can't just say, oh, 210 minus 30. That's not going to work. So we're going to change it to adding the opposite. So keep the same number first, change it to addition, and we're changing this to a negative 210. So again, it's basically meaning the same thing. I went up 30, so a positive 30, and then I'm going to add that I went down or negative 210 feet. So I'm going to take the absolute value of each. So the absolute value of 210, or negative 210 is 210. The absolute value of 30 is 30. Again, remember, it's just the distance. It's always going to be positive. You just change it to the positive version. So 210 minus 30, okay? Again, I said you can't just necessarily do that, and here's why. So 210 minus 30, that is going to mean, well, if I use my math, I'd have 180. You could do that, you flip it and you have 180, but you need to understand, is it a positive 180 or a negative 180? Well, if you go like this and you kind of cancel this part out, we're continuously going past the 0 down here. Or if I made it, you know, horizontal, it's to the left. And so looking back at my problem, in the addition problem, the 210 is originally negative, so it has to be a negative 180 feet. All right. Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for watching the whole video. Keep up all your hard work. Reach out to me if you got questions. Feel free to watch that funny little rap video. Get it stuck in your head and all your siblings' heads. It's going to help you remember those rules, and I will check you on the next one. Make sure you found your code word. I did say it at some point, so go back and find it if you haven't already. Turn it in, submit that code word, and I will see you for the assignment the next day. Bye.